that we may, as in your presence, treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation, in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the good of those whose interests you have committed to our charge. All which we ask in the name and for the sake of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen. Are there any notices of motion? There is none. I have a request for 1 minute statement of national interest from Honorable P. Joe.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Good afternoon, Mr. Speaker, sir. I sit in the Parliamentary Committee on Health and Child Welfare. Our point of national interest is on our government's remarkable progress in addressing obstetric fistula, OB. Mr. Speaker, sir, the point of national interest today is to commend the government of Zimbabwe through the Ministry of Health and Child Care, the dedicated specialists at United Bulawayo Hospitals, and their cooperating partners for the remarkable progress made in restoring the dignity and lives of women affected by OB. The recent successful completion of 55 free obstetric fistula repair surgeries during a specialized surgical camp at United Bulawayo Hospitals, surpassing the initial target of 40 procedures and attracting patients from our neighboring country, Mozambique, is a remarkable national achievement, Mr. Speaker said. It reflects growing confidence in Zimbabwe's specialized healthcare services and reinforces Zimbabwe's emergence as a regional center of excellence in specialized maternal healthcare. Mr. Speaker said, OB is far more than a medical condition. It is a devastating childbirth injury that robs women of their dignity, health, and social inclusion. Every successful surgery, therefore, restores not only physical well-being, but also hope, confidence, and the opportunity for women to participate fully in national development. This achievement, Mr. Speaker said, gives practical effect to Section 76 of the Constitution, which guarantees the right to health care and advances the aspirations of Vision 2030 to leave no one and no place behind. Zimbabwe has demonstrated that with visionary leadership, dedicated health professionals, and strong partnerships, it is possible to transform lives and restore hope. Mr. Speaker said, to realize this ambition, government of Zimbabwe should continue strengthening quality maternal health care by expanding access to skilled birth attendance, emergency obstetric services, and timely referrals, particularly in rural and underserved communities where the risk of prolonged obstetric labor remains highest. By protecting the girl child keeping girls in school and strengthening community awareness, we will not only uphold the women's rights and the girls' rights, but also prevent one of the leading causes of this devastating condition. Mr. Speaker, our success should ultimately not be measured solely by the number of fistula surgeries we perform, but by the day when no woman suffers a preventable childbirth injury, no girl is robbed of her future through child marriage, and every mother gives birth safely with dignity and hope. I so submit, sir. Mr. Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. You had all the time to do the tweeting, honorable members. No sooner we started, you're on your cell phones. Such a rare, listen what is going on. You learn a lot from others. Even if they're saying things that are untoward to some degree, you learn the same. Now the honorable member, straight in line with Honorable Kaitan. Number 3, what's the name again?
Chokururama.
Just say?
Chokururama.
Chokururama.
Maswera says, Speaker.
I want to get your name correctly.
Chokururama kuchitwaza.
Awukuti twaza. Chokururama.
Yeah.
Zita rakanaka chaizvo. Utupo wakanaka. Asi hamuna kururama kufeka. I will forgive you today. You know, the national dress, if it is a shirt, it should be the shirt presidential design. You know, the famous Mandela shirt. You cannot have a shirt with a flap at the back and a flap in front. And it should have some symmetry. The one that has got a flap it is not proper. So, Honorable Chokurura Manditi, today I forgive you. So tomorrow, make sure that you correct the situation. Attend, the next honorable member on a point of national interest is Honorable Karenyi Kore.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I rise on a point of national interest, Mr. Speaker, and I also want to add my voice as one of the members of the Health and Child Care, Mr. Speaker. Our point of national interest is on the growing burden of dementia in Zimbabwe. Mr. Speaker, I draw your attention and also of this House to a silent epidemic that is steadily unfolding across our communities, but it is continuing to receive very little police attention, which is called dementia. Mr. Speaker, almost every week we read notices on the social media, in newspapers, and also in community WhatsApp groups of elderly persons who have gone missing. Families desperately circulate photographs and pleading with the public to help to locate a mother, a father, or a grandparent who simply walked away from home and never found their way back. We sympathize with those families, Mr. Speaker, yet very few of us pause to ask an important question. Why are so many of our elderly people going missing? For many of them, the answer may not be negligence. It may not be even old age. It may be dementia, a progressive neurological condition that robs people of their memory, judgment, and sense of direction. Mr. Speaker, it is estimated that about 18,000 Zimbabweans are living with dementia. Yet this statistic should not comfort us. It is not a measure of a true burden of the disease. It is a measure of the cause we have managed to recognize. The countless men and women whose symptoms are dismissed as ordinary aging, confusion, or witchcraft remain invisible within our health system and absent from our national statistics, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, what is even more heartbreaking is that our elderly citizens are not only living with this disease, they are often punished for it, Mr. Speaker. Only recently in Budiro North, an elderly woman who had reportedly run from home was found dressed only in a petticoat, Mr. Speaker. Instead of recognizing that she may have been suffering from a recognized disorder, she was brutally assaulted after being accused of witchcraft, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker said that incident should disturb every one of us, and it also demonstrates that in our society, dementia is still being interpreted through the lens of superstitions rather than silence, Mr. Speaker. When memory fails, we say someone has been bewitched. When confusion sets in, we call them a witch. When an elderly person wanders from home, we include them instead of asking whether they require urgent medical attention. The greatest tragedy, Mr. Speaker, is that we are criminalizing the symptoms of this illness, Mr. Speaker. This is happening because Zimbabwe currently has no national dementia strategy to guide awareness, prevention, early diagnosis, treatment, caregiver support, and public education, Mr. Speaker. Consequently, families are left to navigate this devastation condition alone while senior citizens continue to suffer in silence. I therefore, Mr. Speaker, call upon the Ministry of Health and Child Care to urgently develop and implement national dementia strategy to ensure that dementia is recognized as a medical condition deserving care and treatment, not fear, stigma, or violence. I further call upon the Minister to present a ministerial statement to this House, Mr. Speaker, providing disaggregated provincial data on diagnosed and treated dementia patients to enable informed policy formulation and effective parliamentary oversight. Mr. Speaker, dementia steals memories. It must never steal dignity. Let us not become a nation that mistakenly mistakes disease for witchcraft or abandons those who once carried us simply because they can no longer remember the road home. Let this House lead to the call for a Zimbabwe that protects its elderly with knowledge, compassion, and sound public policy. I so submit. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I didn't see approbation on members on my right. What is the problem? We are all candidates of dementia, possible candidates. As we grow older, so it's a very important statement. It's a silent disease that is very insidious, and yet it creeps in families among the elders. So I will request the Clerk of Parliament to write to the Minister of Health so that he can give a ministerial statement. And in that statement, we want an indication on how we can control the situation and reduce the prevalence. And one such issue is the diet, what you eat. The question of too much drinking alcohol is another cause, and other causes. That shall be stated by the Honorable Minister of Health. So it will be very interesting to have that ministerial statement. Thank you, Honorable Karenyi Kore. Acting Government Chief Whip.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Say good afternoon. I move that orders number 1 to order number 17 is stood over until order number 18 has been disposed of. Thank you.
Any seconder?
I second, Honorable Speaker, sir.
Thank you very much. Anyone opposed? None. Notice of motion number 18. Honorable Njanji.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I move the motion in my name as it is shown on the order paper. I submit.
Thank you. Who seconds?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I second.
Thank you very much. I now call upon Honorable Njanji to move his motion accordingly.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I rise today on behalf of the Portfolio Committee on Local Government, Public Works and National Housing to present a report on the petition from Tinashe Matika and Kosiko Nasibanda of Wange on the dual local government administration in Wange. On my report, Mr. Speaker, I'll cover the introduction, then the findings, observations, and the recommendations. So I'll start the introduction. According to Section 149 of the Constitution, read together with the Standing Order number 191, Appendix E, every citizen and permanent resident of Zimbabwe has a right to petition Parliament to consider any matter within its authority, including the enactment, amendment, or repeal of legislation. The committee received a petition from Mr. Tinashe Matika and Mr. Kosiko Nasibanda, residents of Wange concession area. The petitioners appealed to Parliament to address the plight of residents in 11 wards of Wange concession, who seek incorporation into Wange local body. They expressed concern that the current local government setup in Wange constituents excludes approximately 20,000 residents from being recognized as stakeholders and beneficiaries of service delivery mandate of Wange local body. The petitioners further noted that despite the exclusion, the affected residents contribute to public funds through taxes, actively participate in the national electoral process, yet they remain deprived of the benefits of local governance. The petition was subsequently referred to the Portfolio Committee on Local Government, Public Works and National Housing, which undertook an inquiry into the matter and produced this report with its findings, observations, and recommendations. Petitioner's prayer. The petitioners besieged Parliament to exercise its oversight and investigate and rectify the following. Review the policy that subjects Hwange Urban, Hwange Central Constituency under dual administration. Secondly, inquire into the operational modalities of the current government matrix of Hwange with a view of making not only the necessary policy recommendations and amendments, but to devise a proposed timeline onto the incorporation of Hwange Colliery concession residential areas into the jurisdiction of Hwange local body as prescribed by section 274 of chapter 14 of the Constitution. Objectives: to assess the impact of current governance structure on service delivery in the Hwange concession areas. The methodology which was used: the committee conducted public hearings and received oral and written submissions from key stakeholders, including the following: Hwange Local Board, Hwange Rural District Council, Hwange Colliery Company, Zimbabwe Power Company, the National Railways of Zimbabwe, as well as residents from the affected communities in Hwange. The committee's findings: Hwange Rural District Council submissions. The committee was informed that Hwange concession area does not fall within the proclaimed jurisdiction of the Hwange local body, but is legally under Hwange Rural District Council as defined by the 2022 Zimbabwe Electoral Commission ZEC delimitation report. Through this report, ZEC placed the concession area under Hwange Central Constituency for electoral purposes, while the other wards of Hwange Rural District Council fall under Hwange West Constituency. In this regard, Hwange RDC argued that this arrangement was made solely to meet electoral threshold, which does not constitute dual governance as alluded by the petitioners. Hwange Rural District Council was concerned that abrupt incorporation of the concession area into Hwange local body would have serious financial implications and the viability of the local authority. It was gathered that the local authority had already planned its local economic development strategy and its master plan according to its geographical boundaries expounded in the ZEC report. Furthermore, Hwange RDC argued that the urbanized nature of the concession area fits within Hwange RDC's broader development strategy, which aligns with Vision 2030 and the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. The committee gathered that Hwange Colliery concession, being resource-rich, currently contributes to the welfare of 5 chiefs of Hwange district, and this benefit could be disrupted if jurisdiction is transferred to Hwange local body. The committee found out that Hwange Colliery Company Private Limited was responsible for all service provision within the concession areas. These included 100% subsidized accommodation, water, electricity, and infrastructure maintenance for its employees and other inhabitants. It was argued that by Hwange Colliery Company that service provision within the 11 wards under its purview was better to the 4 wards areas under the superintendence of Hwange local body. Then Hwange local body submissions. Hwange local body informed the committee that the 11 wards under the concession areas experienced scattered and uncoordinated developments due to the lack of local planning authority. It was argued that this uncoordinated development was stifling the growth and expansion of Hwange urban. Arguments for incorporation were stressed on the necessity of establishing orderly planning, zoning, and land use control tailored to community needs through master plans and local development plans. Hwange local body argued that the concession areas under the stewardship of the Hwange Colliery Company lacked adequate bylaws to govern its traffic system, resulting in disorderly and haphazard traffic management within the Hwange CBD. It was echoed that the proposed incorporation by Hwange local body would subject the concession areas to HLB's bylaws. This would in turn enable efficient and orderly traffic management and coordinated road planning management. The committee further gathered that Hwange Colliery Company Limited, HCCL, whose core mandate is mining, is currently burdened with providing municipal services. Incorporation would allow HCCL to focus on mining while HLB assumes responsibility for municipal services in line with its statutory mandate. Hwange Colliery Company Limited submissions. The committee established that the concession area was privately titled land owned and managed by HCCL, although lying within the jurisdiction of Hwange Rural District Council. Payments of land development levies to Hwange District Council is based on Section 95 of the Rural District Councils Act, Chapter 2918. The committee established that 11 wards within Hwange concession area under the administration of Hwange Colliery Company have their elected councillors sitting under Hwange local body. This misnomer was creating decision-making impasses within councillors under Hwange concession were making decisions in a jurisdiction outside their electoral boundaries. This governance impasse was as a result of the 2022 ZEC delimitation exercise. The HCCL, as a private entity, fears the risk of losing its assets as well as land under title without compensation and operational instability that will potentially arise from incorporation process. A critical aspect was raised by HCCL, alluding to the fact that forced incorporation would transfer 35% of the Hwange's balance sheet assets, which are tied in infrastructure, amenities, and utilities, including roads, lighting, water, sewer systems, and housing to Hwange local body. The company fairly argued that incorporation without proper agreement, consultation, and consensus among the parties involved will lead to the company's closure and also will bring negative ripple effects on the socio economic fabric of its workers and community. Submission from the National Railways of Zimbabwe. The NRZ submitted that it does not object to the incorporation of Hwange urban constituency. However, the company retaliated that guarantees must be given to it to ensure that it continues to control all the land under its ownership, including the railway station facilities and the staff houses built on its land. The company argued that by having control over land adjacent to the railway line and station, the company will continue to grow and expand as per its future business development and growth model. Submissions from the residents of Hwange. Hwange residents expounded that incorporation of Wange Urban Constituency will give them ownership of company houses they currently occupy within the Wange concession areas. Furthermore, it was emphasized that the incorporation will assist in transforming the colonial type of one-roomed housing and communal toilets to modernized housing units in sync with the current urban trends and dynamics. However, the HCCL clarified that the properties belonged to the entity and it will remain company-owned as they are recorded as in its balance sheet as core operational assets. Other residents argued that the incorporation into Wange local body would impose stiffer rates and levies on Wange Colliery Company employees who are currently 100% subsidized on all expenses. The committee was informed that this eventual imposition of new rates and levies would lead to significant reduction of disposable income and worsen living standards. The residents informed the committee that Wange local body does not have the capacity to take over the 11 wards within the concession area and properly provide adequate services. It was highlighted that the body did not have adequate staff in key areas such as engineering and planning to take over the enormous task currently being administered by HCCL. With this in mind, it was echoed by the residents that any possible discussion on incorporation must take place after significant capacity building of human and technical resources at Wange local body. Furthermore, calls for an implementation framework based on stakeholder engagement, consensus, and capacity enhancement were made loud and clear by the residents of Wange. Intergovernmental fiscal transfers, devolution funds. The committee gathered that the 11 wards located within privately owned land under the Wange Colliery Company were not receiving any government funding or intergovernmental fiscal transfers, devolution funds. The committee was informed that the disqualification of concession area from receiving government funding was shortchanging the residents of the area from receiving much needed financial support to augment the existing service provision gaps. The residents of the concession area underscored that every Zimbabwean had a right to benefit from intergovernmental fiscal transfers. Then, legal issues on incorporation. The committee gathered that the local governance problem currently transpiring in Wange had been discussed by the local leadership and the then Minister of Local Government and Public Works, Honorable July Moy. The minister had indicated that a commission of inquiry was needed to expedite the incorporation of Wange and the consultation of key stakeholders. However, the committee found out that the commission of inquiry was yet to undertake the important exercise. This delay had stalled the process of rectifying the local governance impasses and the issues causing the grievances between the stakeholders in Wange. Committee observations. Section 71 of the Constitution protects HCCL's property rights, preventing compulsory deprivation of assets without compensation. To this end, incorporation of HCCL's private land into HLB jurisdiction without compensation will not only be unconstitutional and unlawful, but most importantly, an infringement on property rights. The residents residing within Wange concession area are caught in a governance puzzle. Although administratively under Wange RDC, the area is politically represented by councillors under Wange local body. This arrangement unfortunately excludes them from meaningful participation in policy and decision making as rightfully echoed by the petitioners. The committee observed that Wange Colliery Company and the Wange RDC were not in support of changing the current local government matrix through the incorporation of Wange concession areas into Wange local board. Arguments on property rights, investments made and revenue generation, issues raised by RDC were valid and must be given serious consideration by the executive. Incorporation will have possible negative effects on Wange RDC's revenue and derail its development agenda set out in its master plan and local economic development policy. Wange has a delicate local governance system that needs a thorough inquiry by the executive to fully understand the ligaments of its very architecture. Wange is fast growing and booming due to the rapidly expanding mining activity, which requires urgent intervention for its upgrading to a thriving urban industrial hub. However, the current setup on what the committee observed as a disjointed urban administration system undermines any meaningful progress towards having a vibrant urban system which responds to the needs of the growing population and the fast developing need for good urban governance. Wange local body does not have the capacity to captain the whole Wange urban constituency. Once the incorporation is implemented, the capacity of the local body must first be augmented through deliberate intergovernmental strategies and the implementation of a transitional framework bolstered on urban planning fundamentals. The disjuncture of the 11 awards under the concession area represented by councillors who under the Wange local body is an anomaly which needs immediate intervention. The ZEC delimitation report placed the citizens under the Wange concession area under pursued local representation where councillors have no means to deliver any meaningful input into issues affecting the residents. The committee further observed that the concession areas currently do not have access to funding streams such as the Public Sector Investment Program, PSIP, and the government loans which individual concession units cannot access. Committee recommendations. The committee recommends that a commission of inquiry be established by the Minister of Local Government and Public Works to ascertain the feasibility of incorporating Wange Urban under one local government by 30 September 2026. The committee recommends that adequate modalities be put in place to ensure fair compensation to HCCL should the concession areas be incorporated in the Wange local body. In line with Section 71 of the Constitution, any lawful incorporation must be done by just and adequate compensation for both movable and immovable assets of HCCL. The Minister of Local Government and Public Works must review the ZEC delimitation report and address the incoherence of administrative boundaries between Wange local body and Wange RDC by 31 December 2026. The committee recommends that the incorporation of concession areas into Wange local body be pursued and be completed by 31 December 2026 to facilitate the following. The upgrading of housing and the sanitation infrastructure. This would enable governments and development partners to implement targeted wash programs that improve access to clean water, functional sewer systems, and modern ablution facilities. Also, to enable access to national funding streams, including the PSIP, significant, the IGFT, and government loans, which will strengthen service delivery and infrastructure development in Hwange. To establish orderly urban planning and land use management in the concession area through the adoption of master plans and local development plans tailored to community needs. To ensure orderly traffic management, coordinated provision of public infrastructure, and integrated urban growth across Hwange. In conclusion, the committee recognizes that Hwange concession area faces a significant governance gap, being administratively under Hwange Rural District Council, while politically represented by councillors sitting under Hwange local body. This arrangement has limited the residents' participation in local decision-making, restricted access to essential services, and hindered infrastructure development. Hwange is a prime urban area with all hallmarks to be accorded a municipality status in a shortest period of time. Effective incorporation accompanied by adequate planning, capacity building, and just compensation. We will align the area's development with the national strategies and sustainable urban growth principles. So I submit. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Janji. The question before the House is a motion by Honorable Janji. This House considers and adopts the report of the Portfolio Committee on Local Government and National Housing on the petition from Tinashe Matika and Kosikona Spanda on the dual local government administration in Hwange. Is there any further debate? Honorable
Nyagwezwa.
Nyagwezwa, yes. Honorable Nyagwezwa.
Good afternoon, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise with gratitude for the opportunity you have offered me to contribute to the debate on the report on the Portfolio Committee on Local Government, Public Works and National Housing on the petition submitted by Mr. Tinashe Matika and Mr. Skosikona Sibanda concerning the dual local government administration in the Hwange concession area. Mr. Speaker, sir, allow me to begin by commending the committee for undertaking a thorough inquiry into the matter and for producing a balanced report that takes into account the concerns of residents, the position of Hwange Colliery Company Limited, and the broader constitutional governance considerations involved. Mr. Speaker, sir, I stand in support of the committee's findings and recommendations. In doing so, I wish to emphasize the need to place the interest and welfare of the residents of the Hwange concession area at the center of any future policy decision regarding the administration of this area. The issues raised by the petitioners concern access to quality services, effective local governance and equitable development, the residents of the concession area are Zimbabwean citizens who contribute to the economy through their labor, entrepreneurship, and payment of taxes. Mr. Speaker said, like all citizens, they aspire to live in communities with adequate housing, reliable water supply, proper sanitation, modern infrastructure, and access to development opportunities. It is therefore, Mr. Speaker said, important that any governance arrangements in place support these aspirations and ensure that no community is disadvantaged in assessing national development programs. Mr. Speaker said, the committee correctly observed that the matter before us must be addressed with the framework of the Constitution and the laws of Zimbabwe. Section 274 of the Constitution provides mechanisms through which local authority boundaries may be reviewed and adjusted where circumstances warrant such action. Mr. Speaker said, this demonstrates that our constitutional framework recognizes the administrative arrangements may evolve over time in response to changing demographic, economic, and developmental realities. Mr. Speaker said, at the same time, Section 71 of the Constitution guarantees the protection of property rights. Any future incorporation processes involving assets owned by Wange Colliery Company Limited must therefore be conducted in a lawful, transparent, and consultative manner that fully respects constitutional provisions relating to compensation and protection of private property. In this regard, Mr. Speaker said, I fully support the committee's recommendation that the Ministry of Local Government and the Public Works, working together with the relevant stakeholders, develop a comprehensive framework to guide any future transfer of infrastructure and services. Such a framework should provide certainty to all parties while ensuring that the interests of residents remain protected. Mr. Speaker said, one of the most compelling issues emerging from the committee's inquiry relates to equitable access to development resources. The Second Republic has demonstrated its commitment to devolution through the allocation of intergovernmental fiscal transfers and the implementation of community development projects across the country. Mr. Speaker said, these initiatives are intended to ensure that development reaches every part of Zimbabwe in the principle of leaving no one and no place behind, and that local authorities are empowered to respond to the needs of their communities. The committee noted concern regarding the extent to which residents within the concession area are able to benefit from certain development programs and including funding mechanisms. This matter deserves careful consideration because the objectives of devolution can only be fully realized when all communities have meaningful opportunities to benefit from national development initiatives. Mr. Speaker said, the incorporation of the concession area into an appropriate local governance framework has the potential to improve access to development funding, strengthen service delivery planning, and enhance coordination of infrastructure investments. Mr. Speaker said, such an approach would contribute significantly towards achieving the aspirations of Vision 2030 and the objectives of the National Development Strategy 2. Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee also highlighted concerns regarding housing conditions and the sanitation infrastructure within parts of the concession area. Access to adequate housing, clean water, and proper sanitation is fundamental to human dignity and social well-being. Mr. Speaker said, these issues are not unique to Hwange and form part of broader national efforts to improve living standards and modernize infrastructure throughout the country. Mr. Speaker said, as Zimbabwe advances towards Vision 2030, there is need for continued investment in housing development, water infrastructure, sewer reticulation systems, and modern sanitation facilities. Such investments improve public health outcomes, strengthen community well-being, and create an environment that supports economic growth and human development. Mr. Speaker said, to that end, the incorporation process presents an opportunity to facilitate long-term planning and mobilization of resources necessary to upgrade infrastructure and improve living conditions for the residents. Mr. Speaker said, the committee's report has also highlighted governance challenges arising from the current administrative arrangements. Effective local governments requires clarity regarding administrative responsibility, accountability, and service delivery obligations. Where governance structures create uncertainty regarding planning, resource allocation, and service provision, residents may ultimately bear the consequences. Mr. Speaker said, therefore, there is therefore merit in the committee's recommendation that the Ministry of Local Government and Public Works review the current arrangements and identify sustainable solutions that promote efficient accountability and coordinated development. A clear and coherent governance framework will strengthen service delivery, improve planning processes, and provide residents with greater certainty regarding the institutions responsible for addressing their concerns. Mr. Speaker said, while the welfare of residents remains paramount, it is equally important to recognize the significant role that Hwange Colliery Company Limited has played over many decades in supporting infrastructure and services within the concession area. Therefore, any future transition should therefore be guided by principles of fairness, consultation, and mutual benefits. Hence, I support the development of transparent compensation and transition framework that provides comprehensive valuation of infrastructure assets, clearly defined transition arrangements, protection of service delivery during the transition period, continued operational viability of Hwange Colliery Company Limited, and effective oversight and accountability mechanisms. Mr. Speaker said, such an approach would ensure that the interests of residents and government and the company are balanced. Mr. Speaker said, the petition before us presents an opportunity to address long-standing governance and development challenges affecting residents of the Hwange concession area. The committee's recommendations provide a practical pathway towards improving local governance, enhancing service delivery, expanding access to developmental resources, and promoting orderly urban development. As we pursue the national vision of leaving no one and no place behind, it is important that all communities are afforded equitable opportunities to participate in and benefit from national development. Mr. Speaker said, I therefore support the report of the Portfolio Committee and urge the relevant ministries and stakeholders to work collaboratively towards implementing its recommendations in a manner that advances the interests of residents, respects constitutional provisions, and contributes to the broader objectives of Vision 2030. Mr. Speaker, I so submit.
Thank you very much, Honorable Yawezo. As a matter of interest, Honorable Janji, did you interview the Minister of Local Government?
Mr. Speaker, sir, we invited him. He didn't turn up.
How about the official permanent secretary?
We interviewed other directors, not the minister.
You invited who?
The directors, they came on behalf of the PEMSEC and the minister.
Okay. Because they should have given you some history of what has been done in the past regarding preliminary master plan and how the copper belt mining area towns in Zambia have resolved the issue of double administration between concession mines of the copper belt and the local authorities thereof. And I hope those that will debate later will go deeper into the issue. Not to say that what I've heard from the mover and the second was not deep enough. The next honorable member to take the floor is Honorable Makumire.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the situation in Wange requires urgent government intervention because what is happening there is not sustainable for the Wange local board. I think the chairperson has made it clear that legally the Wange local board has got 4 wards that falls within its jurisdiction. The other 11 wards, they fall under the Wange RDC. But in terms of the delimitation of 2022, ZEC decided to put these wards under the Wange local board. Mr. Speaker, I am ambivalent towards the decision made by ZEC, because logically they did what is right, but legally it's incorrect. What has happened, Mr. Speaker, is that in 2015, the then Minister of Local Government dispatched a commission of inquiry to look into the aspect of incorporating the concession areas into the local board. And there is a report that was produced. And then in 2022, another, no, I'm not sure if it was, no, the then minister of 2015, I'm sure it was Honorable Kaskwere. And then in 2022, another commission of inquiry was sent again to carry out the same exercise. And the two commission of inquiries, they have got the same recommendations. And what ZEC did was that they realized that the ministry was delaying in coming up with a position and a decision to finalize the incorporation of the concession areas into the local board. And ZEC did what the Ministry of Local Government was supposed to do. Although it's not the correct procedure, but the issue before us, Mr. Speaker, is that the Wange Local Board is bearing the governance costs that are supposed to be borne by the Wange RDC. And the councillors that are making decisions in the local board are councillors who are supposed to be sitting in a different local authority. And this has increased the burden, the financial burden to the Wange Local Board, because the Wange Local Board is not collecting any revenue from the concession areas. So, this issue, Mr. Speaker, it requires that the stakeholders involved, led by the Minister of Local Government, they must hasten to make a decision to finalize the issue of incorporating the concession areas into the Wange Local Board. The issue of capacity was also raised by residents and some of the stakeholders involved in this issue. One of the biggest issues that was being raised had to do with off-site infrastructure, on-site infrastructure, and in terms of the Zimbabwe National Housing Policy, Mr. Speaker, the central government has got the responsibility of providing off-site infrastructure, and the local authorities have got the responsibility of providing the on-site infrastructure. And if there is collaboration between these two tiers of government, I am quite convinced that the issue of capacity can be addressed in this way. It was also raised, Mr. Speaker, that the Wange Local Board and the Wange RDC, they've last received their devolution funds in 2023. And this is not particular to the two local authorities. It's an issue that is prevailing across all the local authorities. And our constitution, Mr. Speaker, is very clear on the disbursement of the devolution funds. But surprisingly, we have seen that the Minister of Finance is continuously violating the constitution, ignoring the provisions of Section 301, subsection 3 and 4. As a way forward, Mr. Speaker, I support the recommendations that were made by the committee, but I also want to add that this House must summon the Minister of Finance on issues to do with disbursement of devolution funds. And on the issue of the incorporation of the concession areas into the Wange Local Board, Mr. Speaker, say I support the recommendation that the process of incorporating the concession areas into the local board must be fast-tracked and bring relief to the Wange Local Board, which is bearing the the burden of financing the governance costs related to allowances and other expenses linked to the conditions of service for councillors. Mr. Speaker, I also want to buttress the issue of the inquiry, the two inquiries that were made by the Ministry of Local Government. I want to recommend that they must harmonize the findings and then implement them. I so submit, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Makumere. The next honorable member to debate is Honorable David Wutau. Honorable David Wutau.
Speaker, thank you. Honorable Speaker, thank you so much for emphasizing my name there. I think it's a good sign.
Have I pronounced it in the past wrongly?
No, Honorable Speaker, it has nothing to do with the pronunciation, it's the emphasis. It makes me feel
The accent.
like I belong.
It's the accent. All right, please proceed.
Honorable Speaker, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to contribute to the report of our committee on local government, in particular response to the petition raised by the residents of Wange, specifically Comrade Mr. Tinashe Matika and Mr. Kosiko Nasibanga. Honorable Speaker, my emphasis is going to be very narrow because of the areas that I think are more informed and intelligent about, if there is any such thing as human intelligence. The responsibilities of Wange Local Board should, in my view, include those that are in the Wange concession area. The role that I feel is being neglected is the role of local government, and this, Honorable Speaker, you will see it permeating in most of our reports, the issue of silo planning by the Department of Local Government and Urban Development. The silo issue is doing a lot of disservice to the people of Wange. In general, real estate valuations and augmentation leads to improved value of the land. Valuable land by nature attracts capital. Wange is kind of constrained and almost hostage to the fact that the biggest investor in the area is Wange Collier Company. I hope that by the time this House adopts this report, a solution would have been found in order to allow for the people of Wange to benefit from the resources that they are endowed with. The issue of Wange Collier Company carrying such a huge community does have its own negative effects on the balance sheet of an organization, an enterprise that provides such a critical resource to the country, that will end up without a big a coal mining company. In my view, Wange Collier Company should not be carrying such a huge financial burden. Municipality management, by its nature, requires a dedicated and well-resourced team, and a kind of team that does not constrain proper planning, bulk services supply, to the people of Hwange and those that are now found in no man's land. The Department of Local Government should and ought to facilitate consolidation and provision of services of those that seem to have been isolated in no man's land between the concession area and the Hwange local board. Exclusion of those outside the local board area's jurisdiction, in my view, is an affront to the dignity of the citizens caught up in this area or without clear jurisdiction. Honorable Speaker, as a member of the committee that is chaired by Honorable Njanji, I do agree to the recommendations of our committee, and I wish to state that one of the things that I feel should have greater emphasis is the role that can be played by the National Railways of Zimbabwe as one of the most important cogs in the core supply chain that is being produced in the Hwange area. I also wish to indicate that just with general view, most of the developments and investments that are currently taking place in Hwange seem to be ad hoc and poorly planned. This will curtail investment, and capital is a coward. Where there is no security of tenure and proper land management, there is likely to be chaos. Honorable Speaker, I urge this House to adopt this report and specifically to support this committee in ensuring that the committee's work is not viewed as collateral or some supplementary work by those in the executive. I wish to end my presentation and my debate at this point. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Butau. The next honorable member to take the floor is Honorable P.G. Timbe.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to support the report of the Portfolio Committee on Local Government, Public Works and National Housing on the petition concerning the dual local government administration in Hwange. At the outset, let me commend the committee for conducting a thorough inquiry that reflects the views of all stakeholders. The committee has demonstrated Parliament's important oversight role by carefully examining the concerns raised by the petitioners and proposing practical recommendations that seek to resolve a long-distancing governance challenge. Honorable Speaker, the current governance arrangement has created uncertainty over who is responsible for planning, service delivery, and local development. Residents of the concession area participate in national elections, elect councillors, and contribute to the economy through their labor and the payment of taxes. However, they continue to experience governance challenges arising from an arrangement that has left them without clear and effective local administration. The situation is inconsistent with the principles of good governance and inclusive development. Honorable Speaker, local government exists to improve the lives of the people. It should provide reliable water supplies, efficient refuse collection, proper roads, modern sewer systems, and orderly land use planning and quality public services. These services can only be delivered effectively where there is a clear governance structure with well-defined responsibilities and accountability. Honorable Speaker, I fully support the committee's recommendation that a commission of inquiry be established by the Ministry of Local Government and Public Works. This is the most appropriate way of resolving this matter because it allows all stakeholders to present their views before any final decision is taken. A matter of this magnitude cannot be resolved through assumptions or isolated consultations. It requires a transparent evidence-based and inclusive process that builds consensus among all affected parties. The Commission of Inquiry should carefully examine the legal, financial, administrative, and developmental implications of incorporating the concession areas into a single local government authority. It should also recommend practical transition arrangements that guarantee continuity in service delivery while safeguarding the interests of all stakeholders. Honorable Speaker, as we seek to improve governance, we must equally uphold the Constitution. The property rights of Hwange Colliery Company Limited must be fully respected. The company has invested substantially in housing, roads, water infrastructure, electricity networks, and other public amenities over many decades. Any future incorporation process must therefore be accompanied by fair, lawful, and adequate compensation as recommended by the committee. Protecting private investment is essential for maintaining investor confidence and demonstrating Zimbabwe's commitment to the rule of law. Honorable Speaker, one of the strongest aspects of this report is its vision for the future development of Hwange. Hwange is one of Zimbabwe's most strategic economic centers. It is home to major mining operations, electricity generation projects, and transport infrastructure that are vital to our national economy. As investment continues to grow, the town itself must also grow in a planned and coordinated manner. Modern urban development requires integrated planning. Roads must connect efficiently with residential areas. Housing development must be supported by water supply, sewer systems, and proper waste management. Commercial expansion must be guided by sound land use planning. Traffic management must keep pace with increasing economic activities. These are responsibilities that require strong and coordinated local governments. Honorable Speaker, the committee also correctly observed that the current governance arrangement has limited access to important government development programs and funding mechanisms. Once these governance challenges are resolved, the people of Hwange will be better positioned to benefit from the national development initiatives, including the public sector investment program and intergovernmental fiscal transfers. These resources have the potential to improve roads, schools, clinics, water infrastructure, sanitation systems, and other public services that directly improve the people's quality of life. This aligns perfectly with the national vision of ensuring that no one and no place is left behind. Honorable Speaker, the committee was also prudent in recognizing that incorporation should not be rushed before any transition takes place. Hwange local board must have the institutional, technical, and financial capacity to effectively manage an expanded urban area. Capacity building, proper planning, and stakeholder engagement are essential if the transition is to succeed and deliver improved services to the residents. In conclusion, Honorable Speaker, this report presents Parliament with a practical, balanced, and forward-looking roadmap. It seeks to resolve a long-standing governance challenge while protecting constitutional rights, promoting orderly urban development, and improving the quality of life of the people of Hwange. By implementing these recommendations, we will strengthen local governance, enhance accountability, improve service delivery, unlock greater development opportunities, and position Hwange to realize its full potential as one of Zimbabwe's leading mining and industrial centers. For these reasons, I fully support the adoption of this report and urge the responsible ministry to implement committee's recommendations within the proposed outlines. I so submit.
Thank you, Honorable Chitimbe. I recognize the acting government chief whip.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the debate now adjourned.
Who seconds?
I second, Honorable Speaker.
It has been moved that the debate be now adjourned. Is there any debate? I put the question that the debate be now adjourned. Those who are of that opinion will say aye. Those of the contrary opinion will say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it. The question is accordingly affirmed and the debate is adjourned. To what day, Honorable Acting Government Chief Whip?
So tomorrow, Mr. Speaker, sir.
The debate is adjourned to tomorrow. Thank you. I recognize you again.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we revert back to order number 1 of today's order people.
Thank you. Who seconds that?
I second, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you so much. The clerk will read the first order of the day.
Committee, Biological and Toxins Weapons Crimes Bill, HB 9, 2025.
Thank you very much. The whole House will be in committee.
order. The Committee of the Whole House will take into consideration the Biological and Toxin Weapons Crimes Bill, HB 9 of 2025. I put clause 1, short title and commencement. Is there any debate? Is there an objection? No objection, agreed to. I put clause 2, interpretation. Is there any debate? Is there an objection? No objection, agreed to. I put clause 3, protocol and convention to have effect in Zimbabwe. Is there any debate? Is there an objection? No objection, agreed to. I put clause 4, offenses in relation to biological agents, toxins, and weapons. Is there any debate? Is there an objection? No objection, agreed to. I put clause 5, responsible authority. I call upon the Honorable Minister.
Honorable Chair, I put the amendments standing in my name on clause 5 as they fully appear on the order paper.
I put the amendment proposed by the Honorable Minister. Is there any debate? I put the question that the amendment be now made. Those who are of that opinion will say aye. Those of the contrary opinion will say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it. The question is accordingly affirmed and the amendment is hereby made. I put the question that clause 5 as amended stands part of the bill. Those who are of that opinion will say aye. Those of the contrary opinion will say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it. The question is accordingly affirmed and clause 5 as amended stands part of the bill. I put clause 6, licensed possession of biological agents or toxins. Is there any debate? Is there an objection? No objection, agreed to. I put clause 7, conditions attaching to every license. Is there any debate? Is there an objection? No objection, agreed to. I put clause 8, issuance, duration, surrender, and renewal of licenses. Is there any debate? Is there an objection? No objection, agreed to. I put clause 9, suspension or cancellation of licenses. Is there any debate? Is there an objection? No objection, agreed to. I put clause 10, amendment and replacement of licenses. Is there any debate? Is there an objection? No objection, agreed to. I put clause 11, expedited licensing of persons licensed under chapter 15.03. Is there any debate? Is there an objection? No objection, agreed to. I put clause 12, register of general and premises licenses for the possession of biological agents and toxins. Is there any debate? Is there an objection? No objection, agreed to. I put clause 18, offenses against part 3. Is there any debate? Is there an objection? No objection, agreed to. I put clause 14, inspectors and analysts. Is there any debate? Is there an objection? No objection, agreed to. I put clause 15, powers of inspectors. I call upon the Honorable Minister.
Honorable Chair, I put the amendments standing in my name on clause 15 as they fully appear on the order paper. I thank you.
I put the amendment proposed by the Honorable Minister. Is there any debate? I put the question that the amendment be now made. Those who are of that opinion will say aye. Those of the contrary opinion will say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it. The question is accordingly affirmed and the amendment is hereby made. I put the question that clause 15 as amended stands part of the bill. Those who are of that opinion will say aye. Those of the contrary opinion will say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it. The question is accordingly affirmed and clause 15 as amended stands part of the bill. I put clause 16, obstruction and false statements. Is there any debate? Then objection? No objection, agreed to. I put clause 17, directions requiring security measures. Is there any debate? Then objection? Objection, agreed to. I put clause 18, extra territorial application. Is there any debate? Is there an objection? No objection, agreed to. I put clause 19, information and documents. Is there any debate? Is there an objection? No objection, agreed to. I put clause 20, confidential information. Is there any debate? No debate. Is there an objection? No objection, agreed to. I put clause 21, evidence of analysts. Is there any debate? Is there an objection? No objection, agreed to. I put clause 22, appeals. I call upon the Honorable Minister.
For Chair, I put the amendments standing in my name on clause 22 as they fully appear on the order paper. I thank you.
I put the amendment proposed by the Honorable Minister. Is there any debate? I put the question that the amendment be now made. Those who are of that opinion will say aye. Those of the contrary opinion will say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. The question is accordingly affirmed and the amendment is hereby made. I put the question that clause 22 as amended stands part of the bill. Those who are of that opinion will say aye. Those of the contrary opinion will say no. I think the ayes have it. Ayes have it. The question is accordingly affirmed and clause 22 as amended stands part of the bill. I put new clause inserted after 22 of the bill. I call upon the Honorable Minister.
I put new amendments standing in my name as they appear on the order paper. I thank you.
I put amendment proposed by the Honorable Minister. Is there any debate? I put the question that the amendment be now made. Those who have that opinion will say aye. Those of the contrary opinion will say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. The question is accordingly affirmed and the amendment is hereby made. I put the question that clause 23 is amended stands part of the bill. Those who have that opinion will say aye. Those of the contrary opinion will say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. The question is accordingly affirmed and clause 23 is amended stands part of the bill. I put clause 24. I put new clause 24, review by review board. I call upon the Honorable Minister.
Honorable Chair, I put the new amendments standing in my name as it appears on the order paper. I thank you.
I put the new amendment proposed by the Honorable Minister. Is there any debate? I put the question that the amendment be now made. Those who have that opinion will say aye. Those of the contrary opinion will say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it. The question is accordingly affirmed and the amendment is hereby made. I put the question that new clause 24 as amended stands part of the bill. Those of that opinion will say aye. Those of the contrary opinion will say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it. The question is accordingly affirmed. A new clause 24 as amended stands part of the bill. I put new clause 25, appeal to administrative court against decision of review board. I call upon the Honorable Minister.
Honorable Chair, I put the new amendments standing in my name as it appears on the order paper. I thank you.
I put the amendment proposed by the Honorable Minister. Is there any debate? I put the question that the amendment be now made. Those of that opinion will say aye. Those of the contrary opinion will say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it. The question is accordingly affirmed and the amendment is hereby made. I put the question that new clause 25 as amended stands part of the bill. Those of that opinion will say aye. Those of the contrary opinion will say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it. The question is accordingly affirmed. A new clause 25 as amended stands part of the bill. I put new clause 26, application of certain provisions of chapter 9.07 to custody, disposal, etc. of things, articles or substances removed by inspectors under this act. I call upon the Honorable Minister.
Honorable Chair, I put the new amendments standing in my name as it appears on the order paper. I thank you.
I put the amendments proposed by the Honorable Minister. Is there any debate? I put the question that the amendment be now made. Those of that opinion will say aye. Those of the contrary opinion will say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it. The question is accordingly affirmed and the amendment is hereby made. I put the question that new clause 26 as amended states part of the bill. Those of that opinion will say aye. Those of the contrary opinion will say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it. The question is accordingly affirmed. A new clause 26 as amended states part of the bill. I put new clause 27, exemption of liability for acts or omissions of responsible authority and persons employed therein. I call upon the Honorable Minister.
Honorable Chair, I put the new amendments standing in my name as it appears on the order paper.
I put the amendment proposed by the Honorable Minister. Is there any debate? I put the question that the amendment be now made. Those of that opinion will say aye. Those of the contrary opinion will say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it. The question is accordingly affirmed and the amendment is hereby made. I put the question that new clause 27 as amended stands part of the bill. Those who have that opinion will say aye. Those of the contrary opinion will say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it. The question is accordingly affirmed. A new clause 27 as amended stands part of the bill. I put clause 23, now 28, regulations. Is there any debate? Is there an objection? I call upon the Honorable Minister.
Chair, I put the amendments in my name on clause 23 as they fully appear on the order paper. Thank you.
I put the amendments proposed by the Honorable Minister. Is there any debate? I put the question that the amendment be now made. Those who are of that opinion will say aye. Those of the contrary opinion will say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it. The question is accordingly affirmed and the amendment is hereby made. I put the question that clause 23, now 28, as amended, stands part of the bill. Those who are of that opinion will say aye. Those of the contrary opinion will say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it. The question is accordingly affirmed and clause 23, now 28, as amended, stands part of the bill. I put clause 24, now 29, publication of amendments to schedules. Is there any debate? Is there an objection? No objection, agreed to. I put clause 25, now 30, transitional provisions. Is there any debate? Is there an objection? No objection, agreed to. I put clause 26, now 31, amendment of chapter 11.18. Is there any debate? Is there an objection? No objection, agreed to. I put first schedule. Is there any debate? Is there an objection? No objection, agreed to. I put second schedule. Is there any debate? Is there an objection? Objection, agreed to. I shall now report the bill with amendments. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Committee of the Whole House has gone through the Biological and Toxic Weapons Crimes Bill, HB 9 of 2025, as set forth in the accompanying copy and has agreed to the same with amendments.
Thank you. The chairperson of committees reports the Biological and Toxic Weapons Crime Bill, HB 9 of 2025, with amendments. The bill is referred to the Parliamentary Legal Committee. I recognize the acting government chief whip.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I move that orders number 2 to order number 27 be stood over to order number 28 has been disposed of.
Who seconds?
I second, Honorable Speaker, sir.
Thank you. Notice of motion number 28, Honorable Maoneke.
Good afternoon, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Good afternoon.
I rise to share the motion in my name.
Thank you. Who seconds?
I second, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. I now call upon Honorable Maoneke to move his motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I will begin with the introduction. Section 299 of the Constitution of Zimbabwe vests Parliament with the authority to monitor and oversee state expenditure, and that of its agencies to ensure that all revenue is properly accounted for. All expenditure is lawful and appropriations are implemented within approved limits and conditions. Furthermore, Section 33 of the Public Finance Management Act requires that every accounting officer prepares and submits quarterly financial and performance reports, which must be tabled before the relevant Parliamentary Portfolio Committee within 60 days after the end of each quarter. In fulfillment of this constitutional and statutory obligation, the Portfolio Committee on Defense, Home Affairs and War Veterans Affairs analyzed the 2025 fourth quarter budget performance report for the Ministry of Veterans of the Liberation Struggle Affairs. The ministry is mandated to provide welfare services, economic empowerment, and memorialization support to veterans of the liberation struggle, war victims, and heroes' dependents. The committee's assessment focused on financial performance, program implementation, service delivery outcomes, and the compliance with public financial management frameworks. Objectives: to assess whether the ministry achieved its fourth quarter 2025 targets, evaluate the efficiency and effectiveness of resource utilization. 2, to examine the alignment between budget allocations and the service delivery outcomes and analyze financial management practices. And lastly, to provide recommendations that would assist the ministry to execute its mandate. And the methodology used. Mr. Speaker, said the committee analyzed the fourth quarter budget performance report with technical support from the Parliamentary Budget Office. The committee analyzed the financial statements, budget performance reports, and sought clarifications on key issues relating to budget execution, performance gaps, and audit compliance, which were responded through oral evidence and written submissions. Mr. Speaker, said, here are the committee findings. Number 1, strategic planning. The committee established that the ministry's strategic focus was anchored on 2 key pillars, namely welfare support and economic empowerment of veterans of the liberation struggle. These pillars are aligned to national development priorities and the social protection objectives. However, the committee noted a disconnect between strategic planning and implementation, particularly in relation to decentralization. In response, military officials indicated that centralization was a key constraint to service delivery, since decentralization framework was not implemented in 2025 due to lack of funding. Given that 57,531 beneficiaries are spread across all 10 provinces and largely rural-based, centralization continues to limit their access to services. Point number 2, Mr. Speaker, say human resources. The committee noted that the ministry has an establishment of 407 posts with 253 vacant posts, translating to a vacancy rate of 62%. This high vacancy rate significantly constrains program implementation and service delivery. In response, the ministry officials attributed the high vacancy rate to Treasury Circular number 10 of 2025, which imposed a recruitment freeze across government effective 24 September 2025. The ministry indicated that following engagement with Treasury, it was granted Treasury concurrence for critical posts and is engaging the Public Service Commission to redeploy officers identified as excess in other ministries. Mr. Speaker, said budget allocation by program. The committee was informed that the ministry's resources were allocated under the program-based budgeting framework, comprising 2 programs, policy and administration and veterans affairs. The ministry's revised budget was 994,803,800 ZW. Policy and administration program was allocated 12.3%, that's around 122 million of the revised budget, while veterans affairs program was allocated the remainder, which totals 87.7%, that's 872.8 million. The fourth quarter budget target was 12.671103 million, translating to 1.3% of the revised annual budget. Policy and administration program, fourth quarter share was ZW 5,887,314, which translates to about 47% of the budget. In the Veterans Affairs program, share was 6.729789, which translates to about 53% of the budget. The near equal quarterly split between administration and the welfare delivery does not reflect the 88.12 annual ratio, suggesting that quarterly cash releases schedules may have been distorted. The committee noted that while the annual budget appropriately prioritized service delivery through Veterans Affairs program, the fourth quarter allocation deviated from this structure. This misalignment undermines the ministry's ability to deliver welfare services effectively. The committee established that budget allocations were mainly schemes towards the use of goods and services, compensation of employees, and social benefits. However, the committee observed that allocations towards administrative expenditures were disproportionately high in the fourth quarter relative to social benefits, with no funds allocated towards social benefits in the quarter under review. Given the ministry's mandate, social benefits should constitute the dominant expenditure category. The skewed allocation indicates weak prioritization of core service delivery functions. Mr. Speaker, sir, the budget expenditure by program. Annual cumulative expenditure.
Order, Honorable Mawaneke. Honorable members, can we keep our voices low? And can you remember that only the honorable member speaking must be upstanding? Can all honorable members please take your seats? Can you please take your seats, honorable members? At the back there, please take your seats. And let's keep our voices low so that the honorable member can be heard in silence. You may continue, Honorable Mawaneke.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I was on item number 5, budget expenditure by program. Actual cumulative expenditure, that's January to December 2025, was ZW 340.3 million of the ZIG ZW 994.8 million revised budget, translating to a 34.2 utilization, 34.2% utilization rate. The 34.2 budget utilization by year-end reflects delays in treasury support, which disrupts strategic planning and compromises long-term outcomes. From the first to the third quarter, January to September 2025, the ministry received minimum cash disbursements, which meant minimum execution of planned activities under both programs. By September 2025, actual expenditure stood at only 306,358,846 against a cumulative target of 393 and 240, leaving a shortfall of 44,034,394. Policy and administration programs consumed ZW 105 million of its 2025 revised budget allocation. That is 86% on actual versus ZW 137 million as of September 2025. Veterans Affairs programs had utilized ZW 201 million up to September, which translates to 23%. The committee noted that direct welfare services for 57,531 beneficiaries were underfunded throughout 2025. The low utilization rate implies a substantial portion of allocated resources did not translate into tangible benefits for veterans and their dependents. During the fourth quarter, the ministry's expenditure rose sharply to 340,316,492 against the fourth quarter budget targets of 12,607,103. The ministry reported that the fourth quarter budget was funded to the tune of 76.7 million against a quarter target budget allocation of ZW 12.6 million, reflecting a budget execution rate of 77% for the quarter. Of the allocated resources, ZW 25 million, which translates to about 34%, was directed towards the Veterans Affairs program, while ZW 52 million, which translates to 66%, was consumed under policy and administration programs. Mr. Speaker said the committee noted that the ministry's excessive expenditure reflects delays in cash releases from Treasury during the first, second, and the third quarter. The bulk of funds was only released towards the end of the year, forcing the ministry to implement and account for the outstanding activities within a compressed time frame to avoid losing the appropriation under the use it or lose it principle governing public funds. Such patterns compromise efficiency and increase the risk of misallocation of resources. It also negatively impacted various sub-programs, leading to delays in project implementation, a reduced scope of services, and a compromised service quality. It further constrained the ministry's service delivery capacity, resulting in the failure to meet planned objectives and operational inefficiencies. The most missed targets were on the following. Number one, failure to award medical benefits to war veterans. Number two, failure to conduct reburials of fallen heroes. Number three, no documentation of liberation war history. Number five, no improvement on the welfare of war veterans of the liberation struggle and their dependents. Number five, war victims and their dependents and heroes' dependents were not allocated self-help projects for empowering them. Mr. Speaker, sir, item number 5, performance and management. The ministry managed to meet and surpass some of its targets for the fourth quarter, which is commendable. The committee noted the ministry's performance against its target as indicated in this diagram. The committee expressed concern that failure to document liberation or histories represents a permanent loss of national heritage. Shortfalls in education and medical assistance further highlight gaps in service delivery. The ministry, in their response, highlighted that they did not meet some of its targets due to inadequate funding from Treasury. In addition, a knowledge gap persists within the veterans community, which perceives that its needs are not being adequately addressed. Treasury has since been engaged, and there have been notable improvements in the provision of benefits. The committee observed a significant inconsistency in the beneficiary data, with the figures declining sharply between quarters. as at the quarter under review, the ministry's constituents comprised 31,559 waterlands, 5,483 war victims, 20,489 heroes dependents, a total of 57.531 registered beneficiaries. Mr. Speaker, sir, let me transition to the Auditor General's report. The committee noted that the ministry's 2024 appropriation account received a qualified opinions and the following issues were raised by the Auditor General. Number one, reconciliation of appropriation account. The ministry had noted that reconciliation of appropriation account expenditure for the year 2024. The committee noted that these unresolved discrepancies in financial records are indicative of weak reconciliation process. The ministry informed the committee that at the moment monthly reconciliations are being carried out and the misstatements to be detected and corrected timelessly. Salary reconciliations. The AG observed the absence of salary reconciliations for the ministry. In response, the ministry informed the committee that monthly reconciliations had commenced and currently there were no challenges in relation to reconciliation. Number five, unvoiced expenditure, particularly Heroes Dependence Fund 2023. The committee noted that the absence of supporting documentation for certain expenditures raises concern about accountability and transparency. The ministry responded that currently accounting records were being maintained per transaction and the verification of vouchers before processing was also being done. Number five, absence of accounting policy. The committee noted that the absence of accounting policy for the veterans of the liberation struggle. The committee noted that the absence of the accounting policy for the veterans of the liberation struggle is still noted. In response, the ministry informed the committee that an accounting policy was formulated and is now in place. Number five, education assistance reconciliation. The absence of education assistance reconciliation was also raised in the AG's report. In response, the ministry told the committee that monthly reconciliations carried out in the previous delays were as a result of staff shortage. Number five, administrative expenditure not broken down. AG also observed that administrative expenditure was not broken down. In response, the ministry informed the committee that systems of control were being developed, but at the moment they are non-existent. And lastly, unreconciled bulk payments. The AG noted the persistence in terms of unreconciled payments, which indicates weak financial oversight. In response, the ministry told the committee that monthly reconciliations are in progress. Mr. Speaker, sir, access to information by the public. The committee noted that although the ministry's website was operational, it required further enhancement through developing a digital system for the veterans of the liberation struggle, a WhatsApp platform to enhance public engagement and feedback, budget and performance information, public notices, and comprehensive service details. In response, the ministry officials indicated that since it was a new ministry, work was in progress to capacitate the IT department with the personnel and tools to be able to provide the information on its website. The ministry now has a fully fledged IT department with a director to provide all the IT-related services. In addition, steps were being taken to improve the platform, including the provision of liberation narratives, expanding public information, introducing a monthly events calendar, and updating service-related content. Mr. Speaker, let me now transition to committee observation and recommendations. Observation number one, there was erratic release of funds from the period January to September, that is first to third quarter, by the Ministry of Finance and Economic Development and Investment Promotion. Recommendation, the Ministry of Finance and Economic Development and Investment Promotion should consistently disburse funding in all quarters to the Ministry of Veterans of the Liberation Struggle to enable it to meet its target. Observation number two, the ministry's website was operational but lacks comprehensive digital system on veterans of the liberation struggle, budget information, and service details. This limits transparency and public engagement. Recommendation, the Ministry of Veterans of the Liberation Struggle Affairs should enhance the website by September 2026, developing a digital system, publishing monthly events calendars, and expanding service-related content. Observation number 3, the committee notes that the ministry serves as a vulnerable and aging population whose welfare is directly dependent on effective budget execution. As such, inefficiencies in planning, resource allocation, and expenditure management have direct socio-economic consequences on beneficiaries. Recommendation: Treasury should ensure timely disbursement of resources to ensure that all ministries' planned targets are met. And observation number 5. The ministry faces critical resource constraints which affect service delivery. And recommendation: it is recommended that the Ministry of War Veterans of the Liberation Struggle Affairs, in collaboration with the Ministry of Finance, Economic Development and Investment Promotion and the Public Service Commission, should prioritize recruitment for critical posts and reduce vacancy rate to below 30% by December 2026. Mr. Speaker said, the committee also observed the existence of persistent audit findings which were not addressed. In recommendation, the Minister of Veterans of the Liberation Struggle Affairs should take serious audit findings, fully implement corrective measures, and ensure that internal controls are strengthened by 31 December 2026. The committee emphasizes the need to improve performance management systems and recommends the development of a recovery plan with clear targets and timelines. Observation number 5, unrealistic quarterly targets set by the ministry. And recommendation: the Minister of Veterans of the Liberation Struggle Affairs should carefully place and set realistic targets which are achievable. Mr. Speaker, say in conclusion, the committee acknowledges the importance of the ministry in supporting veterans. The committee acknowledges the importance of the Ministry of Finance in supporting veterans of the liberation. However, the findings highlight significant weaknesses in budget execution, service delivery, and financial management. The mismatch between expenditure and the outcomes is of particular concern. The committee therefore calls upon the ministry and the Treasury to urgently implement the recommendations outlined in this report to enhance accountability, efficiency, and effective service delivery. So I submit.
Thank you, Honorable Maoneke. Could you please switch off your mic? The question before the House is a motion by Honorable Maoneke that this House considers and adopts the report of the Portfolio Committee on Defense, Home Affairs, Security Services, and War Veterans Affairs on the fourth quarter budget performance report for the Ministry of Veterans of Liberation Struggle Affairs, SC 22-2026. Is there any debate? Recognize Honorable Gaetano, it is second, right? Yes, you may.
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
You may take the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I rise to share my analysis and conclusions on the report that has just been presented by Honorable Maoneke on behalf of the Portfolio Committee on Defense, Home Affairs, Security Services, and War Veterans Affairs. Mr. Speaker, on a weekly basis, in Mudzi district, we are experiencing at least a single death of a war veteran in the different categories. Mr. Speaker, it is a reality which is also disheartening that we are seeing this thing happening. You will see the declarations on our groups every week. There is a declaration letter sent showing us that the sons and daughters that fought for the liberation of this country are leaving us. In my district,
on a weekly basis. To then realize, Mr. Speaker, say that Treasury is not disbursing funds expeditiously for first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, and only disburse in the fourth quarter is deeply concerning. Because these funds that must be disbursed in the first quarter for the Ministry of War Veterans Affairs is earmarked for medical services of the war veterans. It is earmarked for burial assistances. So according to this report, for the first 9 months of the year, there was no such disbursement. It gets me to wonder, so how were the war veterans managing? Managing in terms of their health-related issues. You might be aware, Mr. Speaker, say, that the injuries and the damages that happened during the War of Liberation and other related illnesses require constant medical attention. And according to this report, the ministry had to subcontract other players in order to meet the medical bills. And according to this report, Mr. Speaker, say, some of the medical services suppliers are actually suing the Ministry of War Veterans Affairs for late payments of what they owe in medical related bills. It is my thinking, Mr. Speaker, say, that Treasury ought to prioritize cash disbursements to meet the needs of the war veterans of this country. We may forego this, we may forego that, but not the health-related issues of our war veterans. As a country, my thinking, Mr. Speaker, say, is that we ought to religiously and expeditiously serve this ministry. Mr. Speaker, say, as our war veterans are dying on weekly basis, giving the examples of my district in Mutsi, we then tend to lose rich heritage of the liberation war history. The ministry from January to September could not exercise its responsibility in the documentation of the history of the second Inchimrenga because there was no funding. And when the funding came in the fourth quarter, there were so many things to do in that particular last quarter. And there's a risk that they will not be able to utilize all the funds that have been made available in one quarter. We also run a risk of not being able to fully utilize the funds. Other programs have been lagging behind. That is a serious challenge that I believe Treasury needs to look at and rectify expeditiously. Mr. Speaker, say, we have had many cases of children of the war veterans whose educational fees has not been paid and not paid on time. Some of them have challenges in attending college because colleges would not admit them. Some of them would have challenges in collecting their results because fees haven't been paid. And I've had such an experience. My sister could not get a result because fees was not expedited, was not paid expeditiously. Mr. Speaker, my point is, such things as a nation, we cannot accept it. We cannot allow it to happen, especially when it concerns our own veterans. If it were a queuing matter, they must be in the forefront. After all, they've been on the forefront. So let's keep them there in the forefront. As they were fighting for the liberation of the country, they were in the forefront. When it comes to payments, when it comes to government expenditure, can they not remain on the forefront of things? When it comes to medical bills, can we not put those medical bills in the front and take care of those things as a priority? Mr. Speaker, as I conclude, in order to ameliorate some of these challenges, I'm calling upon the Ministry of Veterans Affairs to ensure that it operationalizes the businesses, the assets given to them by the government. The ministry has been given mines. The ministry has been given farms. The ministry has been given cattle, a startup capital for some animal husbandry project. I hereby, Mr. Speaker, urge the ministry to ensure that these assets are turned into projects, are turned into commercially viable businesses in order for this business to then feed into the Veterans Fund and ameliorate the burden from the fiscus. That goes a long way. We cannot continue having assets lying idle. The ministry has them, and the businesses, the assets are lying idle. They are not being utilized, let alone being fully utilized. I urge the ministry to ensure that that aspect, it has got a responsibility. It has got a duty to ensure that those assets are utilized and fully utilized for the benefit of the war veterans. Mr. Speaker, I therefore urge this House to adopt the report as presented by the Honorable Chair, Honorable Maoneke. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Gaetano. Honorable Gaetano, the way you debated this motion by Honorable Maoneke was very excellent. I must commend you. I must commend you for debating without necessarily reading anyway. I wish a lot of other honorable members can emulate that. It shows that you speak from your heart and your mind, and you have put every thought to your speech. Well done. I recognize the acting government chief whip.
Mr. Speaker, I move that I move that the debate is now adjourned.
Who seconds?
I second, Mr. Speaker.
It has been moved that the debate be now adjourned. Is there any debate? I put the question that the debate be now adjourned. Those who have that opinion will say aye. Those of the contrary opinion will say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it. The question is accordingly affirmed, and the debate is adjourned. To what day, Honorable Acting Government Chief Whip?
To tomorrow, Mr. Speaker.
The debate is adjourned to tomorrow. Yes, I recognize you.
Thank you. I move that orders number 29 to 35 be stood over until order number 36 has been disposed of.
Who seconds that?
I second, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Notice of motion number 36, Honorable MC Ziambe.
I move the motion in my name.
Thank you, Honorable Ziambe. Who seconds that?
I second, Mr. Speaker.
Oh, thank you, Honorable Dure. Right. Well, I call upon Honorable MC Ziambe to move his motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I would like to present the report of the Portfolio Committee on Youth Empowerment, Development and Vocational Training on the 2025 third quarter budget performance reports on the parent ministry. Mr. Speaker, it is to note that the ministry executes its mandate through two crucial programs. The first program is Program 1, which is Policy and Administration, which is composed of 7 sub-programs.
There's an honorable member on my right shouting there. What's happening? Is it lack of respect or what? No, we can't have that kind of behavior in this house, please. Can you please keep your voices low? And like I said, only the honorable member who is speaking is the right to be standing. The rest of us, let's take our seats, please. Honorable Ziambe, you may continue.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as I was saying, the ministry constitutes of 2 central programs which are result-based in terms of budgeting. The first program, which is Program 1, revolves around policy and administration, which composes of 7 sub-programs whose principal mandate is policy and administration. This program, Mr. Speaker, is inward-looking. Then there's the second program, which is youth development and employment creation, which focuses on the market itself, which is young people, and it consists of 2 sub-programs that carry out the ministry's primary objective in terms of youth empowerment, development, and vocational training. Mr. Speaker, through these 2 programs I just mentioned, the committee came up with the following findings. In terms of strategic planning, the ministry identifies diverse youth groups as clients ranging from out-of-school youths to vocational trainees, junior parliamentarians, and youth with disabilities. The needs include affordable training, access to startup capital, modern equipment, civic education, and rehabilitation programs. This reflects the ministry's dual roles of social protection, which addresses unemployment, drug abuse, social exclusion, and economic empowerment through skills training, entrepreneurship, and industry stimulation. The ministry's objective, Mr. Speaker, aligned with NDS1 and SDGs, demonstrating a deliberate effort to integrate youth empowerment into national development priorities. Mr. Speaker, to address the above, there is need for quality vocational and entrepreneurship skills training, participation in national development programs, and decision-making processes. Affordable, the platform for networking, career guidance, employment opportunities, recreation and entertainment, national orientation and civic education, awareness and rehabilitation programs, access to startup capital, and also financial literacy training. Mr. Speaker, I move on to resource planning and allocation, which is also mandated as per the 2 programs which I had mentioned earlier. In 2025, the ministry was allocated 1.9 billion ZiG, with the third quarter budget set at 470 million ZiG. The distribution of resources for the quarter reveals clear policy priorities. Youth development and financial empowerment received 370 million ZiG, which is 78% of the quarter budget, while policy administration, which is Program 1, was allocated 100 million ZiG, which is about 22% of the quarterly budget. The quarterly budget is disaggregated between two key programs, which I mentioned before. It was observed that the ministry's largest allocation was channeled towards youth development and economic empowerment program, which is the ministry's core mandate of creating employment opportunities, capacitating entrepreneurs, and addressing drug abuse. This reflects a prioritization on service delivery. However, delays in disbursements could affect program implementation, as most activities rely on this program. Program 1, Honorable Speaker, was relatively modest as it sustains institutional capacity, compliance and governance systems, including ICT upgrades, staff training and statutory reporting. However, underfunding in this area could weaken oversight and accountability mechanisms, which are essential for transparent management of youth funds. Mr. Speaker, In terms of the human resources, the ministry reported and approved staff establishment of 2,800 posts, with 929 vacancies translating to a 32% vacancy rate. Recruitment remains constrained by Treasury Circular number 10 of 2025 on government expenditure containment measures, which imposed a general freeze on recruitment, except in critical sectors. The staffing gap undermines vocational training centers, operations, and outreach programs. Therefore, filling vacancies in 2026 should be a priority, Mr. Speaker, as this would enhance program implementation, improve operational efficiency, and ensure delivery on planned activities. Then in terms of expenditure management, by the end of the third quarter, the ministry had accessed 34% of its annual budget, while during the same quarter, the ministry utilized about 16.8% of its quarter budget. Policy and Administration, which is Program 1, utilized 23% of its budget allocation, while Youth Development and Economic Empowerment, which is Policy 2, recorded a high absorption rate of 37%. The relatively stronger performance in the deployment program reflects the demand-driven nature of its activities, including entrepreneurship training and awareness campaigns. However, overall utilization levels in both programs were very low, suggesting a high risk in the remaining funds not being fully utilized by the end of the 2025 financial year due to ongoing cash constraints from the Treasury. Compensation of employees stood at 130 million ZiG, representing 36% utilization. Special coverage of staff costs reflects the impact of vacancies, which reduce the wage bill absorption. While this prevents wage overruns, it negatively affects service delivery capacity. Then on acquisition of non-financial assets, buildings and structures absorbs just 11% of the budget allocation, implying stalled infrastructure upgrades at vocational training centers. This needs to be addressed, Mr. Speaker, as infrastructure development is essential for the long-term sustainability of youth training. Considering the poor state of infrastructure across the country's vocational training centers, there is need for an infrastructural upgrade, which is in tandem with the industrial trend and demands. In contrast, Equity Investment Fund shares recorded 71% utilization, reflecting strong demand for revolving youth funds and investment support. This high absorption demonstrates effective uptake of empowerment financing and suggests that youth entrepreneurs are actively engaging with available funding mechanisms. This pattern highlights a shift towards financial empowerment initiatives, notwithstanding delays in infrastructure and operations, limiting program implementation, which is Program 2. Then in terms of the Ministry's performance for the quarter, the Ministry reported mixed achievements during the relative quarter, which is the third quarter for 2025. In terms of client satisfaction index, the Ministry had targeted 71% and the actual was 72%. Capacity development programs conducted, the target was 2. The Ministry conducted 5. Youth entrepreneurs capacitated, the Ministry had targeted 20,000. The actual was 27,000 rather. The youth trained in digital skills was 50,000 for the Ministry's target. 52,000 was achieved. Drug and substance abuse awareness campaigns, the Ministry targeted 73 and achieved 150. Youth trained in youth services in Zimbabwe, target was 1.5, the actual was 174. Youth focal persons capacitated, target 719, actual 26. Youth empowerment forum coordinated, target was 1, achieved was 1. And finally, training centers upgraded, the target was 2, and the actual was 2. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, it is commendable that the Ministry managed to attain its target for the quarter on Youth Empowerment Forum coordinated. However, meeting the numerical target is commendable, but what matters the most is transforming this engagement target into sustained empowerment and policy uptake. There is need to transform figures into real impact within the youth community. The Ministry also needs to convert statistics into sustained empowerment, as I mentioned before. 4 youth business clusters were operationalized against a target of 5. The Ministry slightly fell short to meet its target. The activation of 4 youth business clusters represents important vehicles for entrepreneurship, incubation, job creation, and local economic stimulation among young people. The Ministry also faced challenges in achieving its youth service training and youth focal persons targeted due to inadequate funding and resources. As a result, it was unable to include the second batch of Youth for Youth Service in Zimbabwe, YSZ, limiting access to training centers which are insufficient to accommodate the growing population in our country. Additionally, youth focal persons in provincial and district line ministries were not adequately capacitated, restricting the effective dissemination of youth-related programs across ministries and agencies. To address these gaps, the ministry plans to lobby for financial support to expand and refurbish youth services in Zimbabwe centers and to mobilize resources to train youth focal persons at provincial and district levels. Also, while Parliament also is encouraged to support resource mobilization and prioritize youth programs. Mr. Speaker, in terms of progress on audit issues, the ministry received an unqualified audit opinion in 2024 financial year, indicating that the financial statements presented fairly in all material respects the state of affairs on the Ministry of Youth Empowerment, Development and Vocational Training. This is commendable and reflects improved financial management and compliance with accounting standards. The ministry also made progress in addressing governance issues raised in the 2024 reports. While progress has been made in the implementation of the Auditor General's recommendations, this area requires continued attention. However, the ministry needs to expedite the implementation of recommendations made in addressing the Auditor General's observations. In terms of our recommendations as a committee, the Minister of Finance, Economic Development and Investment Promotion should timeously release allocated funds. Treasury should also provide Treasury concurrence in filling the vacant posts within the Ministry of Youth Empowerment, Development and Vocational Training by 31 December of 2026. The Public Service Commission should also expedite the filling of these vacant posts within the ministry by 31 December 2026. The Ministry of Youth Empowerment, Development and Vocational Training should also expedite the completion and updating of the asset register by 31 December 2026. Then the Ministry of Youth also need to prioritize the revamping and rehabilitation of the targeted VTCs, and Treasury should also ensure that Program 2 on Youth Empowerment and Economic Development is prioritized in the 2026 national budget in terms of financial support and disbursements of this core mandate of the ministry. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, the Minister of Youth Employment, Empowerment, Development and Vocational Training is commended for submitting a comprehensive and timely report, as well as for making notable progress in implementing youth-related programs. However, there is need to strengthen budget execution, especially for capital projects, and to provide regular updates on progress in addressing audit recommendation. While the ministry received an unqualified audit opinion for 2024, unresolved audit issues and non-submission of funds financial statements raise concerns regarding statutory compliance and financial discipline. The committee therefore urges the ministry to strengthen financial controls, enhance reporting integrity, and address outstanding audit recommendations with urgency. Effective implementation of these measures will ensure the public resources allocated to youth development deliver measurable, transparent, and sustainable outcomes. I so submit, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Ziambe. The question before the House is a motion by Honorable Ziambe that the House considers and adopts the report of the Portfolio Committee on Youth Empowerment, Development and Vocational Training on the 2025 third quarter budget performance report for the Ministry of Youth Empowerment, Development and Vocational Training, SC 25 from 2026. Is there any debate? I recognize the Honorable S. Dube.
Honorable Speaker, I rise to second the motion for the adoption of the committee's report on the Ministry of Youth Empowerment, Development and Vocational Training 2025 third quarter budget performance report. Honorable Speaker, Zimbabwe has one of the youngest populations in Africa. Therefore, investment in young people is not merely a social responsibility but an economic necessity. Every dollar allocated towards youth empowerment, vocational training and entrepreneurship is an investment in employment, creation, innovation and national development. Mr. Speaker, the committee rightly observed that the ministry's strategic priorities are aligned with the National Development Strategic and Sustainable Development Goals. The ministry has identified the diverse needs of young people, including vocational skills development, access to finance, digital literacy, civic education, and rehabilitation programs. These interventions, if adequately funded, have the potential to transform livelihoods and reduce youth unemployment. Honorable Speaker said, while it is encouraging that 78% of the ministry's quarterly allocation was directed towards youth development and economic empowerment program 2, the committee noted with concern that delayed disbursement of funds continues to undermine program implementations. Budget allocations alone are insufficient if resources are not released on time by Treasury. Ministries cannot implement programs on promises. They require timely access to approved funds. The report also raises an important concern regarding the 32% vacancy rate within the Ministry of Youth Empowerment, Development and Vocational Training. Such a significant staffing gap inevitably affects service delivery, particularly in vocational training centers and outreach programs. Youth cannot receive quality services when institutions are operating with 1/3 of their workforce missing. The relevant authorities should therefore expedite the filling of these critical vacancies. Another matter deserving Parliament's attention is the low utilization of capital expenditure, particularly on buildings and infrastructure. Many vocational training centers require modern workshops, equipment and learning facilities that are aligned with today's industrial and technological demands. Without inadequate infrastructure, skills development will remain theoretical instead of practical. Mr. Speaker said, on the positive side, the committee acknowledges the ministry's commendable achievements. It exceeded several performance targets, including youth entrepreneurship training, digital skills development, drug and substance abuse awareness campaigns, client satisfaction and capacity building programs. These achievements demonstrate that where resources are available, the ministry has the capacity to deliver meaningful programs for young people. There is need for continuity budgetary support in such areas that empower the youth. However, the committee rightly observes success should not be measured solely by number of young people trained or meetings conducted. The true measure of success is whether these interventions translate into sustainable employment, thriving businesses, and improved livelihoods. Parliament should therefore continue to monitor outcomes rather than outputs alone. I only commend the Ministry for receiving an unqualified audit opinion for the 2024 financial year. This reflects progress in financial management and compliance with public financial management standards. Nevertheless, the Ministry must urgently implement the remaining Auditor's General recommendation to strengthen governance and accountability further. Honorable Speaker said, the committee's recommendations are practical and achievable. In particular, I fully support the timely release of budgeted funds by Treasury, the filling of vacant posts within the ministry, which has a bearing on the quality of the service provided to the youth, the rehabilitation and modernization of vocational training centers, completion of ministry's asset register, and prioritization of funding for the youth development and economic empowerment program in future budgets. These recommendations, if implemented, will strengthen institutional capacity, improve service delivery, and ensure that public resources produce measurable results for Zimbabwe's youth. In conclusion, Honorable Speaker said, the future of Zimbabwe is inseparable from the future of its young people. A nation that invests in its youth invests in productivity, innovation, and sustainable economic growth. I therefore urge this House to to adopt the committee's report and call upon the executive to implement its recommendation timelessly. With these remarks, Honorable Speaker, I second the motion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable S. Dube. I recognize the acting government chief whip.
Mr. Speaker, say good evening. I move that order number 37.
Hold on.
I move that the debate do now adjourn.
2 seconds.
I second, Honorable Speaker.
It has been moved that the debate be now adjourned. Is there any debate? I put the question that the debate be now adjourned. Those of that opinion will say aye. Those of the contrary opinion will say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it. The question is accordingly affirmed and the debate is adjourned. To what day, Honorable Acting Government Chief Whip?
To tomorrow, Mr. Speaker.
To tomorrow, thank you. Yes, I recognize you again.
Mr. Speaker, say I move that orders number 37 to order number 43 be stood over until order number 44 has been disposed of.
Thank you. Who seconds?
I second again, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much. The clerk will read the 44th order of the day.
Adjourn debate on motion on the need to adopt artificial intelligence to enhance objectivity and improve efficiency in public procurement.
Thank you. When this debate was adjourned on 29th of April 2026, the question before the House was a motion by Honorable Bajila as set forth on page 1959 and 1960 of today's order paper. Is there any further debate? I was going to recognize Honorable Molokeli, but I don't see him in the House. So I call upon Honorable Bajila to wind up his motion.
Good afternoon, Mr. Speaker.
Good afternoon.
Thank you so much for granting me this opportunity. I would like to take this opportunity to thank honorable members for their debate and their contribution on the motion, and particularly some of the views that members got, which enriched the scope of where the motion should have gone. And we really appreciate these kinds of contribution and hope that we'll get more of these kinds of suggestions from this House as we make efforts to make Zimbabwe ease of doing business enhanced. With these words, I move that this House adopts the motion.
Thank you very much. I put the question that the motion be adopted. Those of that opinion will say aye. Those of the contrary opinion will say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it. The question is accordingly affirmed and the motion is adopted. I recognize the acting government chief whip.
Mr. Speaker, say I move that the House do not adjourn.
Who seconds?
I second, Honorable Speaker.
It has been moved that the House order, honorable members, can you take your seats? No one should be moving out of that door. It has been moved that the House do now adjourn. Is there any debate? I put the question that the House do now adjourn. Those who have that opinion will say aye. Those of the contrary opinion will say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it. The question is accordingly affirmed and the House is adjourned. To what day, Honorable Acting Government Chief Whip?
To tomorrow, Mr. Speaker, sir.
The House is adjourned to tomorrow. Thank you very much and good night. Please switch off your mic. Honorable.
Good night.
Honorable Government Chief Whip, switch off your mic.